Talks with Sri Ramana Maharshi, in continuation of talk from 105, where Maharshi was explaining Yena Ashrutam Shrutam Bhavati from Chandogya Upanishad, he continued how Uddalaka explained that all proceeds from Sat, as illustrated by deep sleep. The body takes food, food requires water. Water requires heat to digest the food. It is Sat Parasyam Devatayam, that is merged in the being. If we are Sat Sampannaha, how is that we do not realize it? In other words, if we are merged in the being, or if we are the self, how is that we don't realize it? Maharshi continued to reply, just as the honey gathered from different flowers form the bulk of the honeycomb, and each drop does not indicate where from it has been collected, so also Sat Sampannaha, in deep sleep, death, etc., people do not recognize their individualities. They slip into that state of awareness or unawareness, but when they wake up, they regain their original individual characteristics. The devotee asked, honey, though collected from different flowers, becomes the bulk and does not possess individual characteristics, but the individual parts do not also exist in the drop, and they do not return to their sources, whereas the individuals, after going to deep sleep, wake up as individuals as formerly. How is it? Maharshi answered, just as the rivers discharged into the ocean lose their individualities, still the waters evaporate and return as rain on the hills, and through rain to the ocean. So also the individuals going to sleep lose their individualities and yet return as individuals according to their previous vasanas or impressions. Thus, even in death, Sat is not lost. How can that be? Asked the devotee. Maharshi replied, see how a tree whose branches are cut grows again. So long as life source is not affected, it will grow. Similarly, samskaras sink into the heart in death. They do not perish. They will, in right time, sprout forth from the heart. This is how jivas are reborn. The devotee then asked, how does the wide universe sprout forth from such subtle sanskaras remaining sunk in the heart? Maharshi replied, just as a big banyan tree sprouts from a tiny seed, so the wide universe with the names and forms sprouts forth from the heart. The devotee then asked, if the origin is Sat, why is it not felt? Maharshi replied, the salt in the lump is visible. It is invisible in the solution. Still it exists, is known by taste. Similarly, Sat, though not recognized by the intellect, can be realized in a different way, that is, transcendentally. How? Asked the devotee. Maharshi replied, just as a man blindfolded and left by robbers in a jungle inquires his way home and returns there, so also the ignorant one, that is blinded by ignorance, inquires of those who are not so blinded and seeks his own source and returns to it. The devotee said, if so, a gnani or an agnani dies in the same manner. Why is an agnani reborn, whereas agnani is not? Maharshi said, just as an innocent man is not affected by the taste of touching red hot iron, but a thief is affected, so also a gnani enters into a Sat consciously and merges, whereas the others enter unaware and is thrown out unawares also. End of talk 108. December 13, 1935. Talk number 109. Two gentlemen from Ambala, Punjab, had been there for a few weeks. Just before taking leave of Sri Bhagavan, one of them asked, how should he remove the spiritual drowsiness of his friends or of other people in general? Maharshi said, have you removed your own spiritual drowsiness? The force which is set up to remove your own drowsiness will also operate in other centers. There is the willpower with which you can act on others. But it is not on a lower plane and not desirable. But it is on a lower plane and not desirable. Take care of yourself first. The devotee then asked, how to remove my own drowsiness? Maharshi replied, whose drowsiness is it? Enquire. Turn within. Turn all your enquiries towards search for the self. The force set up within you will operate on others also. End of talk 109.